children and dear survivors who are listening, distinguished guests, dear friends, I think many things were already told. But first I want to thank Just Rights for Children. I had the pleasure to meet in Abu Dhabi, and I was impressed by your strong commitment, a man who is defending women's rights. This is important. And I also want to acknowledge warmly Sierra Leone and Kenya as co-organizers and to cause this event today. And in addition, Sierra Leone and Kenya, both of them, are pathfinding countries to end violence against children, including child marriage. Your leadership and your action are inspiring. So, the question mark, it's amazing that many, many years after, we are still speaking about ending child marriage. So we need to ask ourselves why we are at this stage. Child marriage is prohibited in many, many international treaty bodies, CRC, CEDAW, in many, many regional conventions that have been adopted widely. Many countries have adopted domestic law banning child marriage. But still, child marriage remains a global problem. 1 in 5 girls, as you highlighted, worldwide is still married as a child. And every 3 seconds, a girl gets married. The consequences, and we know it, are devastating, including death, early pregnancy complications such as fistula, and I visit many countries, and it's a pity. And I am a pediatrician, so it made me having many concerns. School dropout, sexual and domestic violence, and mental health issues, among others. Addressing child marriage, as you highlighted, Excellency, requires more than laws. It requires rethinking our approach. We need to address the complex and interlinked factors such as poverty, as in many, many struggling families, marrying off a daughter is seen as a coping mechanism to reduce economic burdens, as well as the lack of women. Oh my God, there is a fight. I hope it's for fight against child marriage. As well as the lack of women economic empowerment. Another point, climate, conflicts, humanitarian crises, increased child marriage rates. During times of insecurity, some parents may arrange marriage for their daughter out of fear of violence or because they can no longer care for them. Social norms and cultural traditions, gender stereotypes, and the perception that marriage provides protection for a girl can perpetuate the practice. Lack of access to education is both a cause and a consequence that perpetuates the intergenerational cycle of child marriage and women poverty. Lack of access to comprehensive sexual and reproductive health, information, and services that can help girls make them duly informed in their choice and avoid early pregnancy. And most importantly also is weak and inadequate laws or insufficient enforcement. These allow child marriage to continue even when it is prohibited, because many countries prohibit it, but with exception. And we have to be very careful when we are welcoming this. We need to make sure that there is no exception. Many countries who ban child marriage define the permissible age of marriage as something other than 18, or permit exceptions with parental consent or under religious or customary laws. And in many cases, these marriages are not legally registered, making enforcement of the law more difficult. The lack of access to child and gender-sensitive justice in many, many countries. The weak prosecution, the lack of accountability, these are among, all these interlinked factors, one of them that allows that this child marriage continue to be perpetuated. But having a world free of child marriage is possible. Across the world, and we heard today, bold, integrated action addressing in a comprehensive manner child marriage are undertaken, including, as you highlight, this prevention, protection, prosecution as a cycle. And through high-level political will. This is a condition. It's about upholding and enforcement of laws banning child marriage without exception. It's about strengthening girls' education and empowerment. It's not only about teaching, it's about empowering the skills, empowering children to make, their own decision. It's about community engagement involving traditional and religious leaders. And we have wonderful examples worldwide. It's about economic support to families and economic empowerment of women and adolescents. It's about ensuring easy access to comprehensive sexual and reproductive health. It's about access to child and gender-sensitive justice. It's about duly prosecution and combating impunity, corruption, and lack of accountability. And most importantly, is dedicated budget. And I'm speaking about domestic budget. Bearing in mind that ending child marriage has a high return on investment, as you highlight. Just to let you know, by 2030, eliminating child marriage could save governments more than 5% of their education budgets. And we know that it's accelerating human capital development. But no government can succeed alone. Ending child marriage requires a collective action that involves states, UN agencies, parliamentarians, civil society, survivor, communities, faith leaders, private sector, among others. But most importantly, listening and involving girls in decision-making process. This is very, very important. This side event for me is a critical moment to put at scale all these promising practices, to learn from each other. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, with less than 6 years that remain until 2030 agenda, we must move, to be very frank, from commitment to action. It's a pity that we are still calling. We need to act and to assess and to see where we are going and how we can do it better. Just to let you know, if nothing changes, it will take 300 years to end child marriage. That is 3 centuries too long. So we cannot wait longer. The time to end child marriage is now, and to unlock the potential of these wonderful girls and women. And you can count on my support regarding, this campaign, because this is one of also of my objective, policy influencing and advocacy, and many thanks for having invited me.